Andy Farrell, welcome to the Sports Agents.
Thanks very much for having me. Pleased to be here.
You're not somebody who's known for wasting words, I would say.
I've wasted plenty of things, and words are definitely one of them. So I'm interested in this, Gabby. Anyway.
Well, you seem to get your message across in a very succinct way. You know, when you do media and you talk to us in your capacity as a head coach, whether that is currently as Ireland coach or British and Irish Lions in the summer, we get honest answers, but not, you're not just rambling on for the sake. You're not that kind of guy. You're a guy in a hurry. And actually, one of the anecdotes that kind of I've read in the last few days about you was how you turned up. I think it was an interviewer who you were doing something to do with the book, and you turned up half an hour early, and you said, "Can we get going now, please?" And I just thought, wow, I can't believe you had the patience to sit down and do this book. So tell us about what it was like to kind of dig back right into the past, going right back to being a kid and finding your love for the sport.
Yeah. It was challenging at first, but I actually, once I got into the groove of it, I quite enjoyed it. Obviously, checking back on things that you think went on was interesting, because I was so far off the mark on quite a few things anyway. And that's where certainly Colleen comes into the equation, because I actually didn't involve her too much, because I tried to get the story done at first and then let her read half of it and then the other half, etc. But there was a lot coming back to say. She famously wouldn't let me get away with anything, really. Even it was just a little white lie. So there was a lot coming back that I had to go back over and.
Did you have a red pen?
I wouldn't say. Well, yeah, I actually said, Colleen, it isn't that serious. Come on, just calm down.
Was it like being back at school and having your work marked by a teacher? Was that exactly what it was like?
Exactly what it was like, and that was the case throughout, because Gavin Mars helped me write this book and did a fantastic job, and what a bloke, and there's a friendship that's been forged for a good long time now, because of the last couple of years that we spent together, and I really appreciate absolutely everything he's done for us. But myself, reading back over the stuff that we talked about, sometimes you're right in how you think the conversation went, but I know myself, and I know what I sound like, and I'm not pleased all the time with how I sound like, how I come across, but just checking over stuff, I wouldn't say it like that. This is how I would say it, you know what I mean? And
well, you're definitely somebody who's all about authenticity, and you would never want to project yourself in anything other than the truest form of yourself. And that's the thing, isn't it, about a book, chappers, especially sports books, to grab the attention. It's those little interstitial moments and stories that make you human.
Yeah, and it's a weird one, because there was an evening in Wigan last night, and it was brilliant going back home, and 500 people in the training centre. But to advertise that, there was a picture on the scoreboard in one of the last matches there at the DW Stadium, and my old mate Terry O'Connor took a picture of the screen, and I can't repeat what he said. It was basically, "You said you was never going to do a book. You leave." And I've had a few of those. But if I could explain, I probably always said that I wouldn't do one, because obviously we had Owen very young, and then we got married very young, and had our girls and our families complete enough, with 3 children, etc. At a young age, and I wouldn't recommend that now, having a child at 16, but it has its perks, as in Owen and the girls, Grace and Alicia, being able to see my career and watch how we navigated our way through that, myself and Colleen, as a family. So they already knew the story. But then a little bit later on in life, we had Gabriel, and he's 14 now. He thinks he knows the story, and he doesn't know he doesn't know 80% of it. So there's a little bit of that, and then fast forward to we've got grandkids. I'm sure that the girls are going to start having a family sometime. I don't know when, but I know that the grandkids have not got a clue what's going on and don't really care at this stage. But I thought we better start marking it down before we all start to forget, really. And then, as the Farrell group family continues to grow, I'm sure they can pick up the book and just reminisce.
Let me ask you about having a son when you were so young. Forget the coach player thing. Just a father-son relationship when there is only 16 years between you. Like my son's 22 and I'm 52. And I love the relationship I have with him. I adore it. I adore the adult relationship and talking sport and having a beer and so on and so forth. But that's still a big age gap between the two of us. What is it like that?
Well, it's brilliant. As you could imagine, because we tend to like the same things as well. Tend to disagree and argue and bicker like mates would do along the way until he realizes he's talking to his dad. So we put him into place, etc. But I think it's probably how you would expect it to be, like, away from the rugby scene, etc. It is father and son, and we talk and we catch up on that basis alone, without the rugby, all the time.
So let's talk a bit more about rugby, and off the back of, it ends up being the back end of the book, obviously, because we've just come off the back of a very successful Lions tour. I want to know what it meant to you to be in that capacity as head coach, because you've done it all with Ireland, but to be, maybe not won a World Cup yet, but
yes,
you've done a lot with Ireland, and you've transformed a group of players and a country's rugby team that was just not getting over the line. And then you set yourself another challenge to take this Lions team down to Australia. What did it test in you as a coach?
That's a good question, because that was probably one of the reasons why I took the job, and was delighted to get the job, and a dream come true and all of that, because I knew how challenging it would be, because I've been lucky enough, because of Warren Gatland, to be selected as an assistant coach on the 2013 and 17 tours. So I knew just how tough and challenging it would be. But I love that type of thing, to try and just throw yourself into it and let's see what we can do with it. I always think the bigger the opportunity, the more you should walk towards it and have a go at it, and let's see what we can do with it. So it's daunting enough to take on a role like that, but that should never ever get in the way of taking it head on.
What is the biggest challenge, though? Is it a cultural challenge? Is it a coaching challenge? Are they interlinked anyhow?
Yeah, I think so. It's everything thrown into the pot, really. I mean, it's the cultural challenge, as in all the nations coming together, and that is way easier than what people think, because when you get the best of the best, all they're trying to do is gain respect of one another, and even though they're competing hard against each other internationally and at club level, there's a respect anyway. So they're trying to find out about each other. How do you go about this? I see that you do that. How do you practice your week? What's your week look like? And then the friendships just forge on the back of that respect. That's easier. I suppose more of the challenge, certainly in this day and age, is that a Lions tour in comparison to day-to-day life, as far as a rugby league professional player nowadays, is way off the mark, as far as the tradition of 3 games a week, or the flying, the moving around, playing, training the next day, doing all the stuff that you're asked to do, is so alien to these guys. you know, a 6-day turnaround now, not a 7-day turnaround. There's panic, you know. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
no,
you can imagine.
But
there's
it is,
routine.
Andy, the small things, isn't it? It's
Professionalism
those
has
really
gone through the
small
roof,
things.
and there's all sorts of ways that you go about preparing yourself properly because you care so much as a professional of what a week looks like to get yourself prepared, and all of that goes out the window. And then when you couple that together with the last tour, which was the Lions tour to South Africa, which was COVID, well, then you soon realise that 90% of the squad has been nowhere near this type of situation before. So it was going to be interesting to see how everyone coped. And this is not just players, by the way. This is the whole shebang, the whole group. And there's 92 of us or something like that. And getting the right people on the bus, on the plane, is the most important thing, because people who are going to go outside their own remits, their own silos, who are going to muck in just for the good of the team, it spreads like wildfire. And once you've got that, you've got a hell of a place of an inner circle that's just on one path together, and that's been as successful as you possibly can be.
And you've been very good at building teams and creating environments, winning environments. So I'm sure you've got kind of already almost the recipe then, and in terms of bringing those individuals together. And then, as you pointed out, it's brutal. The agenda's brutal. So you're going to have to bring players in late to replace players. And one of those players turned out to be Owen. And bringing him into that environment, and you know he's going to cope with that, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of feelings of having to almost persuade anybody within the group? Look, I know he's my son, but, or how did that dynamic work?
Gabby, that was a great link. That was fantastic. That was a fantastic link. No, I didn't have to do that. I suppose you know the coach.
Go on. Yeah.
The coaches and everyone else. You know, on the inner circle, which is the professional game. Everyone knows what each other's made of, and you know what makes them tick, and what they could or they couldn't bring to any type of group. So you over a period of time, you list all those down, and you whittle it down. And the Lions tour is a little bit unique because of that, what you said in regards to there's going to be people that drop out through injury. There's going to be people that need to be able to back up in 2, maybe 3 positions. And it becomes a little bit of a different feel to what normally happens week to week. So it's your job as a coaching staff, and certainly my job as a head coach, to make sure that we've got all those bases covered.
Nice to see him, I'm sure, though, all the same. I just a little aside, I did a Q&A with Henry Pollock, who told us, because he had to room with Owen.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and when Owen walked into the room, he said, I just didn't know what to say to him, so I locked myself in the toilet for 20 minutes. I mean, knowing Henry as I do, and you now know, you can't imagine him even being quiet for 20 minutes. But that's the effect your son has, though.
I'm sure that when he came out of the toilet, the rest of the 2.5 weeks that go, when the 20 minutes were behind him, were a little bit of fun. I would love to ask Owen that similar question. What did you think of Henry the first time you walked into the room? I suppose it would be a completely different story.
The way they project themselves publicly, though, very different characters, you know, and I think that
chalk and cheese comes to mind, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's fun, I think, Mark, doesn't it? To kind of rugby's kind of moment here, where they're at in terms of, you know, the type characters who are out there attracting attention, being, you know, big characters, and then the traditional kind of rugby idea that nobody's bigger than anybody else in that team. Is there room for both?
Oh, 100% there is, and that's why the sports are so appealing to a wider audience. I would have thought. I mean, just look at the sport in general. I mean, you know, it caters for all shapes and sizes, different abilities, etc., and certainly personalities. And it's those type of personalities, the mix of them all coming together, that makes it exciting. It'd all be dull, wouldn't it, if we was all the same? And
do you think we've gone through an era, Andy, of trying to stamp out individualism? I'm not just talking about rugby union. I'm talking about Yeah, but I suppose it is to a certain extent, is it? But I mean, look, the great Wigan teams to switch it to the other coach,
Yeah.
whether it's Ellery Hanley or Martin Afai, or Jonathan Davis, who wasn't at Wigan, obviously, but the individuals who got people off their seats.
I still think we've got them, definitely, and we should. I think what you're saying is, are you saying that we should celebrate them a little bit more?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Look, not in my teams anyway would that ever be nothing but the case. I suppose the biggest thing that you learn as a coach when you've come from the playing side, like I did, was that you realise that you've 50 other lads that are completely different to you, and you've got to understand what it is that makes them tick, and that's the sweet spot. I would have thought, really, allow people to be themselves and give the best version of themselves for the group, and therefore the team flourishes because of that. And we had some characters on tour, and I suppose the later that you leave it, I suppose people are a little bit more guarded as well because of social media and being burnt and all of that. But I think the stories will start to come out, chappers, in as far as the characters within that tour. I've been around a few different spots lately, and I've heard some more stories. So I'm sure you'll soon understand that they're all not pieces of wood.
No, I think the back to that documentary, which was one of the first of its kind of the '97 tour, that was a real behind the scenes, warts and all, that gave a real appetite then for those kinds of documentaries and those kind of peeks behind the curtain. And I think that's what people love, don't they? Seeing what it takes and what it is to be in that unbelievable environment. You've talked about how the communication now has changed and how you communicate differently as a head coach, perhaps to the one who might have talked about getting yourself in the hurt locker and how
yeah,
or the hurt closet. I can't remember what it was, but
I don't know neither. I've tried to forget it. Yeah, it sends shivers down my spine, that, Gabby, anyway.
But what precipitated that change? Just a realization that society was changing.
The more you realise that rugby players are not rocket scientists. They want to know what you really think, and if you're trying to be someone that you're not, they see through that straight away. So they just want it straight from the hip, and they just want it real. They want you to be yourself, and that's easy to follow rather than something that's fake. Or I'm not saying fake because you've had a good think about it, but it's. I think as a coach, you can sometimes get yourself too caught up in this has to be Churchillian, and it doesn't. The Churchillian speeches might resonate with you. That was good, but then you forget about the training session that's on the field. So you're just trying to get some reality towards it all, and I think that's more comfortable for everyone.
I was very struck by an interview Matt Peake did, Andy, before the grand final, and we've had Matt on this show, and never hide the fact of just how amazing I think he is and the job that he has done.
Himself, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But his interview talked about he can't thank his players enough for being there for him and his wife when she went through 2 miscarriages, and how there is a hierarchy in the sense of you are the head coach, but socially and how you are as people, you're all in it together. It was a brilliant interview.
It 100% is like that, and that's how it should be, because there shouldn't be a hierarchy that the head coach just sits there and everyone's absolutely terrified of him. Things have changed, and that was the case back in the day, and rightly so, but things have changed massively in that regard. I remember. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit connected there because Colleen's brother's still coaching there, Sean, and I know what a family club it is, and it's the way that I work. I used to again, like we talked about earlier, at the top of the show there, bring Owen everywhere with me. He was only 4, like, 3, 4 or whatever, and he was just part of the furniture. And then I fast forward to where we are now, and I find it a privilege that I'm able to do the same with my youngest, Gabriel. I bring him there, but there's a reason for that. I think professional sport, it gets so et up sometimes in the pressurized bubble that is performance and winning and everything that goes about it, and you soon forget if you don't cop onto yourself what's behind the person, what the real person's drive is, and that tends to be just the normal stuff, doesn't it? Family, kids. You're a father. I think it's pretty important that people see me not as a coach or a head coach, that they see that there's something bigger going on in people's lives.
You said cop on there, and I think that's quite a useful way of kind of talking about coming from the north to the south, because you never lose those expressions, do you?
Honestly, I was back in Wigan yesterday, and I see myself as broad as anything. Like I hate listening. That's why I won't be watching this podcast, by the way. I hate listening to myself. So I don't know how you guys do it, but I hate listening to myself, and I think I'm as broad as anything, which I obviously am. But the amount of people when went back into the room after we did a bit of talking. Oh, Andy, you can hear the Irish twang, the Irish accent. I'm going, oh, come on now, come on.
Because I was minded of when you said that when you first came down to London and you were switching codes and you drove past Harrods and you felt like Del Boy, and that kind of. I always think of like Crocodile Dundee when
exactly.
I always say that about Kenny, my husband, who came from a farm in Scotland to a flat that Wasps got him at Chelsea Harbour, and I said, "Oh my, it must have literally been like Crocodile Dundee." What?
He probably didn't appreciate it neither. He'd probably not have got a clue, Kenny, where he was at Chelsea Harbour. Like,
No idea,
this is way too small for me. I need space. It's rubbish.
Where are the cows? So when you came down, apart from that kind of, oh my gosh, bright lights, big city, you're then changing, a sport effectively as well, aren't you? How did you handle that in terms of what you did with your personality, or did you just were you your authentic self? Could you just be Andy?
It's interesting because that's what should happen, but I've no doubt. Because of the lack of experience of that. I'd only been to Wigan, stayed in Wigan all my life, and loved absolutely everything about that. And the best part about Wigan is the community. Not many people leave because, they're happy with the family, the community, everyone looking after one another. It's a brilliant place to live. So you're like a fish out of water when you do leave there. And I suppose, Gabby, you do bend a little bit, not that you should do. Like for example, my girls were. I always get this wrong, so that's why I always get told off with the book. I think they were like 7 and 4 or something like that, and went to school. I remember on the first day of picking them up from school, back in the car, they had a completely different accent, completely different, like. Real posh, like, and because they're trying to fit in and trying to be understood. That was the only reason, and they've continued to do that, by the way. Whereas Owen, he I think he goes back and speaks to his nan and granddad all the time just for Wigan lessons, just to keep the accent going. So I think subconsciously you do bend a little bit. Not that that's right.
Are the daughters Bath and Grass then? Is that what they've?
They stand corrected. On that.
Yeah.
Quite a number of times. I'll send them to your house, chappers. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, honestly, my 2 eldest were born in London, and the one thing I won't let them ever do is do Bath and Grass. They can say they were born in London, it's fine, but it's Bath and Grass. Now you're back in the north, Bath and Grass. Did you when you did that move? Did you feel like there was a target on your back? Not because you were northern. I mean, because you were coming from league to year. And because I think that when Sam Burgess did it, there was definitely a target on his back as well. Which maybe there wasn't when Jason did it. When Jason Robinson did it, it felt a different time when he did it. Maybe, I don't know.
Jason, if I remember rightly, Jason, Gary Connolly, Henry Paul, they had smaller stints. beforehand, like 12-week stints, Harlequins, Bath, Munster, all of that. But they were different players to me and Sam. They were out and out backs, speedsters, like Kenny, like, you know, they were athletic, scoring tries. Our jobs, certainly my job, was to team tactics, unlocking defences, ball playing, all of that, which is completely different, you know. And I reckon there wasn't really a position for that suited me. I was a loose forward in rugby league, the link between the backs and the forwards, to try and learn that in no time at all, because I was towards the end of my career, you know, coming down the stairs most mornings on my backside, you know. So to try and learn to play on your instinct in such a tough position, which I would have been more suited to number 8 or number 6, but trying to learn the intricacies of set piece play, line out maul, scrum, breakdown, all of that. You're learning it and you understand it, but playing on your instinct is completely different. So therefore, they put you at centre, and yes, it's easier to learn and quicker to manage, etc. But I wasn't a centre. I wasn't quick enough. I didn't have the speed or the guile like a Gary Connolly had.
We talk a lot on this podcast, Andy, about rugby on the edge of change yet again, you know, and clubs obviously have gone under in the Premiership, and then you look at Wales now potentially going from 4 regions down, 4 clubs down to 4 regions, whatever you want to call them. They're potentially on the verge of that. It seems like it's always on the edge of something, and then R360 comes along, and you know, the unions have made it clear, many of the unions, that they will not allow players to play in that and play for their country. So it seems to be at the moment in a state of flux. Is that happening? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Where are you on what the sport actually needs? What for you would be you know, a good development, something that could improve the lot for players? Because you've seen it, you know, with your own son. Obviously, he's gone off to France and played for a while, which is what players sometimes do. They should have the right to earn as much as they can. But is that the answer? Just to keep letting players leave the unions?
I don't know, because, you know, my position as Ireland head coach, you know, we try and make sure that we cover all bases of what it means to be Irish and play for your country, and we're pretty lucky in the sense that the whole nation buys into that. So we don't have the same problem as in that many people wanting to leave, because it means so much to them. It means so much to them. Yeah, it's a little bit disjointed, isn't it? When you look at it just in reality, just from the outside looking in, really, you know, why are the Irish playing against Scotland and a couple of Welsh teams that's going to be, and Italy and South Africa, and then the Premierships playing on their own, and you know, there's a new season that's happening internationally now. There's going to be a finale there at Twickenham, and then Australia and New Zealand are playing. New Zealand and South Africa are having a mini Lions series. It seems a little bit all over the place as far as that's concerned, but there's far more political reasons towards all that I'm clever enough to understand and know. So. But
you're just happy Ireland have got it sorted, really, aren't you?
Basically, yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
Although it is interesting, isn't it, Andy? You know, with both codes, you've got one code where the international game is so strong, and domestically they keep trying to work out what they're going to do on the union side of things, and then on the league side, Super League's had one of it. If you take away the Salford shenanigans, Super League's had one of its better seasons, really, and Hull KR winning it is a great story. Yet internationally, rugby league has always felt as if it's trying to play catch up. We haven't had England, Australia, or even Great Britain, Australia for such a long time, and at long last we get that back in
Wow,
the next month with
I
3 men.
can't
I
wait for that.
cannot wait. Are you going to any? I cannot wait.
Well, I was asked to call in and go down, and I wanted to take it. I mean, look at the venues; it's amazing. And for 2 decades now, we've been dying to get the show back on the road as far as that's concerned. But I'm working. Fortunately, I'm working. And yeah, how the seasons lap over towards the end is a little bit frustrating in the sense that, you know, I'm busy enough living the dream in Chicago, playing against the mighty All Blacks, you know. So
Wow.
I'm busy enough, and then when we come back, there's the small added bonus to play Japan, Australia, and South Africa as well in the autumn. So. I've got
fair enough,
own,
Andy. All right,
headaches,
fair enough.
You can imagine, but I certainly am going to miss out. But I wish them all the best, that's for sure.
Andy, I read an interesting article the other day about England's coaching setup, and the premise was the writer went back to 2015 and that coaching staff that were there in that World Cup, of which you were part of, headed up by Stuart Lancaster, and the argument that kind of came through the article was that England should have just stuck with that setup and shouldn't have thrown the baby out with the bathwater and should have just trusted a bit more. And now, if you're not going to talk to me about the future of the club game in England, I doubt you're going to tell me that would have been a good idea.
Well, listen, I mean, imagine if they had a stuck. Imagine if they had a stuck and it hadn't gone well. Then you can't win, really. You know, nobody can predict the future, can they? Really? I suppose the only thing that you can do if you're involved is learn from the past and use that to your advantage and try and move on from that.
What did you learn through being part of that coaching?
Absolutely, loads of stuff. Really, it's still stuff that shapes you as a head coach now in regards to, you know, the World Cup. The World Cup itself, as in myself and Stuart spoke about this many times, and Stuart's wrote about it anyway in regards to numbers, time, competition for places, hotels. We actually stayed in Penny Hill, and whether we should have got out into London like the All Blacks were doing and soaking it up and feeling part of it.
They were wandering around Hyde Park, weren't they? And kind of having these incredible crowds folling them and really
embracing it all. You learn all these things and take those lessons with you. That's for sure.
You've got many more interviews to go, so we will let you go. But Gabby did set a challenge at the start of the interview whether we were going to make you laugh, and we've made you laugh a few times. So
I'm actually
it's
always
good.
laughing. I'm actually always laughing. I always laugh. Yeah.
I do tell this story a lot though, Andy. In a previous interview with you, when after you'd won Man of Steel, and I said, "Did you ever look in the mirror and just look at yourself and go, yeah, you're the Man of Steel?" And you just went to me, "No." And I thought
I was lying though, chap, as I actually did at the time.
Yeah, after all these years.
No, I didn't.
Got it.
I didn't.
I'd like Colleen to tell us whether or not you did.
Oh God, she shoots me down every day. She shoots me down. I feel pathetic.
She's doing a great job.
Lovely to have you on with us, Andy. Honestly,
thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. Okay, see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.